Okay. Vim seems to take a while to get started every single time. Don't know why. Good to go, Artemis?
Good to go.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is Shadows Pub here with co host Artemis North, and our guest today is Define the Dollar on Curation Corner. We're going to learn about Define, his project Celeritas, and another project which we're going to talk about. But keep listening. How are you, Define?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here. So, you hang out in Michigan when you're offline, eh?
That's correct. That's where I'm located.
They are. And how long have you been on Steam?
A little over a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a year and a half. Approaching my 2 years.
And how'd you happen to come across it?
Across Steam?
Yeah.
Well, I was heavy into crypto. When the 2008 crisis hit, I got into economics and monetary policy and did my second master's in economics. And so I was sort of in that zone looking for an alternative to the dollar, and Bitcoin came around, and so I got involved in cryptos. And hearing from people like the Dollar Vigilante and some of those guys on YouTube, uh, they were talking about Steam and you know taking ownership of your social media account. And so I thought, yeah, man, that sounds great. A way to actually earn crypto by doing something instead of having to go onto an exchange and buy it all the time and just sit on it. You know what I mean?
Is Dollar Vigilante still promoting Steam? Or primarily
Um,
crypto?
yeah, not so much. He doesn't really talk about it that much, and he's not very active either. Occasionally, but kind of as an afterthought, it seems.
Yeah. He, come on, thought he was, well, he was a bit of a big wheel for bit since he was getting some big returns. And then when the things started leveling out, he just disappeared in fairly short order.
Oh, he actually quit smoking. He quit doing everything now. He's a much healthier guy. He gets he gets like pot enemas.
I never really found him to be all that bright a guy, but some people liked him. So you come on to Steam and you've been posting on here. What have you been posting about?
Well, I started off posting kind of philosophy stuff and my master's degrees and kind of heavy stuff. And I mean, I was a noob anyway, so I didn't have much of an audience. They kind of just fell flat. So I got, I was talking to people and asking, why did my posts keep to? And people said, well, get involved in projects. You got to make connections with people.
Yeah, you do.
And and ActiFit came around. So, and I thought, wow, that's a great idea, getting people active and rewarding them with tokens and incentivizing activity. So I got heavily involved with that. I was a moderator and spent a lot of time doing that. So that's kind of the flavor that my posts have taken on, more of like a daily blog, exercise diary kind of thing. I'm hoping maybe in 100 years, the historians will look back and read about my life, right?
Yes, I'm sure that they're going to be trying to find bits and pieces of you. So, were you a writer by, you know, before Steam, or did you start writing because of Steam?
Well, as far as a daily blog, yeah, it's all because of Steam, really. Um, Sort of going on in the background, my first main goal is to make a blockchain game
Mm-hmm.
that that you earn again by doing. Your time is valuable, right? So I wanted the mining to be actually playing the game. So I looked into all kind of EOS and Loom and uh, Brave, not Brave, Raven, and a bunch of other networks. And it was all gas costs and transaction costs and all this. And when I saw Steam that had essentially, well, at that time they had no transaction costs before RC. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is definitely the blockchain to build a game on.
And even with the RCs, there's not really a transaction cost because as long as you've got some steam power on your account, you have RCs.
True, and they'll regenerate over time. I
Yeah.
know if the it gets popular enough, writing all those JSONs and stuff to the blockchain, that does add up pretty quick. But I'm still here, and I keep posting, hoping I'll earn some more RCs for when my game launches eventually. But
Well,
I'm waiting for SMTs.
I think one of the things that a lot of people don't really realize is that when you're a very small steamium, yeah, you can run out of RCs and you need a little bit of help. But as you grow, your RCs grow along with them to the point that you'd probably never use them up unless you were, really doing constant every second activities. Like I think right now I'm just under 5K on steam power, and I've got well over 3 million SP or RCs. I never use them up over the course of a day.
No, only things like trying to claim account tickets and stuff that would probably nail you. But
RCs engine, listen,
yeah, 3 million
nice
SP.
try.
Woohoo!
That's one of the reasons that they're coming out with the RC pools, so that people like myself that have way more RCs than are needed can be can delegate them out to the RC pools, which will make a difference for new people coming on board. I think those are coming out with commute. No, not with the communities. They'll come with SMTs because they require a hard fork. The communities don't. So you've taken on writing, which is a craft, and it needs to be learned. It takes time to learn it. And you've got involved in some projects, and you're working towards doing some gaming. Are you into coding?
Yeah, I'm doing all the coding myself.
So are you learning this coding as you're going, or were you into it before then?
Well, I was into coding, but I learned coding working for the Naval Research Lab. So I'm old school, like functional programming. So it's kind of relearning everything in object oriented. So yes and no. Like I have past experience with programming and I've done it practically like as a job, but it was very, very different to what I'm doing now.
So you said you were with the Naval Research Center?
Yeah, those pictures you see of the cosmic X-ray background.
Mm-hmm.
I made those. I made those.
So did you do anything else with them?
No, that was specifically my job, was taking the data from satellites that measured the cosmic X-ray background and turn them into visual representations for the public.
And how long did you do that?
2 years.
And did you enjoy it, or it was
Oh
a
my
job?
God. Yeah. If I could go back, holy moly.
So why are you not there?
Oh, life. You know how it is.
So you were saying that you'd taken economics. You have a master's in economics, did you say?
I have a master's in mathematics, but what I did for that was economics. I created a new global economic system that puts gold back, or any physical thing, behind our currency so that it's actually money again.
Yeah, it's always been money. It's just not backed by an asset anymore.
Well, it's only currency now. Yeah, money has to be backed by something. It has to have meaning, right? Like something that you can actually exchange it for instead of just being a debt.
Okay, so you define money and currency as two different things?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, see, I would use money and currency interchangeably. So what's the difference between them?
Money, well, it has to be fungible, divisible, durable, uh, preserve value. Oh, there's one other one that I always forget. Uh, well, anyway, the currency is not a store of value, right? Because they just print it out all the time. It's
Okay.
it's just monopoly money. The value of it is being inflated away. If you hold a dollar bill, you know that it's the stated goal of the Federal Reserve to decrease its value by 2% but in the next year.
Except that standard has been gone since what, the 70s, 60s and
Yeah,
70s?
1971 is when Nixon took us off.
Yeah.
But the problem with it, if we tried to reinstitute a gold standard now, one argument is there's just simply not enough gold to back how huge the systems are. And they're also vulnerable to speculative attack, right? Like that's why we went off the gold standard in 71 was because the French were cashing in their dollars for gold and we were going to go bankrupt. So Nixon said, no, you can't close the gold window, right?
Yep.
So what I did was I defined value as work, right? It's what we can actually do that gives something a saleable value. Like if there's a stick out in the woods, yeah, that why does that have any saleable value? Well, it doesn't. If you just go out and pick it up yourself, then it doesn't cost you anything, right? But if someone goes out, gathers it, brings it to market, then you'd be willing to buy it because the labor that they've put into it is added value, right?
I think one of the things that made me click on cryptocurrency and the age-old question is where does this value come from? Is I was listening on a radio program one day and they were talking about gold and currency and the fact that as long as we've got gold, we've got something with value that can back money.
Yeah.
And the commentator responded with, "It really doesn't matter." And there was this kind of pause, and the guest kind of went, "Why?" He says, "It doesn't really matter whether it's gold, silver, cigarettes, or corn. If people believe it to have value, it has value, which is why cryptocurrency has value. If it is believed to have value, it has it."
To a degree, but that's what does the old saying say? Don't build your house on the sand, right? Don't build your economic system on consumer opinion. You can't say it has value just because people believe it has value. I mean, that is the truth, but what happens when people stop believing it has value?
Then it loses its value, which is
Then it
exactly what
doesn't have
happens.
any, right? So it doesn't have any value. Um, but
Like if someone
by
will take
def-
their supply of corn and exchange it for somebody else's supply of carrots, they believe that value is equal or they wouldn't be doing the exchange, which is back to the old barter system that we've always, that, was there undergirding everything. Gold just became the standard of barter.
exactly. But now there's just nothing behind it, right? It's just pieces of paper that they, or not even pieces of paper at this point. It's just digits on a screen.
Yeah.
But but
Now
by defining,
there is a few cryptocurrencies that are actually being gold backed. My brother got into one. It's the only reason he got into it was because it's gold backed. He doesn't believe any of these others have value. He can't make the connection on crypto yet.
well, I would argue that the value of Bitcoin or those cryptocurrencies is the work that's being done by the network to verify the transactions and secure it. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of electricity, a hell of a lot of power being put into securing everything. But by doing that, by defining the value as work, as the labor that goes in, I could use E equals MC squared because work and energy are equivalent. So the amount of gold that would be needed to back the US economy is just a tiny 1 ton. You don't need this huge vaults of gold, right? Because, or again, it can be anything. 1 ton of feathers has the same amount of energy as 1 ton of gold, right? When you convert it.
Hmm. So do you
So
think they
anyway,
would?
that's why my name is Define the Dollar. That's it.
Do you think that we'd ever return to a time when value of money, whatever form that may be, is based on actual physical items, like say gold?
Sooner rather than later. We're on borrowed time. Zombie banks and quantitative easing, yeah, it's gold or wealth is going to be measured in bullets and bullion very soon.
It does make one wonder, you know, you see things rising to the point that you think it's never going to come back and it's never going to get solved, and you do wonder what's going to give. And unfortunately, what has usually changed our economic system historically has been widespread war.
Exactly, or revolution because people are so starving they'll do anything.
Yep. I saw something this morning that the first time in American history, the wealthy pay a lower tax rate than the poor. Something's going to give.
Oh yeah, something's going to give.
Yeah. So, anyways, we got a little bit diverted there, but it's always interesting to talk to somebody that's got the training in economics. You know, I've picked up a lot of knowledge over the years, but haven't actually studied economics. So you come on here, you've networked, you've got to be known a little bit. You've certainly become a bit of a regular in PYPT, which we're glad to see. And then you decided when Steam Engine came out that you were going to create a project. Does that sound about
Yeah,
right?
that well, it's a long time before that I
Really?
wanted to. Oh goodness, yeah. I mean, I guess it's been back when Bush 2. Does that date me?
No
When
more than it dates me.
when Bush 2 put in the ethanol, because I live in farm country, and all the corn here was being diverted to ethanol.
Yeah, we've had a
And
lot of that here.
yeah, I was driving the price of corn up, driving the food up, and I realized then there's a difference between alternative energy and sustainable energy, right? Corn ethanol is alternative, but it is not sustainable, especially since corn depletes the soil and everything anyway. So I was really starting at that time to think about how could I build wind farms. And in Germany are huge on wind farms. A lot of proper actual farmers are no longer raising cows or cattle or whatever. They've got solar panels. Like, this is fantastic, and that's primarily because the German government is supporting it, and helping those guys out. But I thought this is a fantastic idea, at least to contribute to cut down on the fossil use. Maybe we can't replace it all with windmills, but we can make a dent.
So Baltic Badgers made the comment that he's in Germany and he says wind farms are a joke. They use the money to keep the windmills running. And
Huh.
Artemis, you have a question, so go ahead and ask.
We're always interested in alternative energy. Now, down at our trailer, we had tiny, tiny little projects that we were able to power ourselves up with. But the biggest problem that we always storage of this energy. Once you use it, if you can use it while you're consuming it, wonderful. But then storage. I mean, we use deep cycle marine batteries for our very small needs, but say you were doing a home, that gets really expensive and it's also another drain on the environment. Do you think there's much work being done in that direction?
Absolutely, there is. And that is a huge problem, especially for private individuals, like you say. But there is this next generation of lithium ion batteries. They're supercapacitors, and they're supposed to be able to charge up really, really fast and have about 30 times the energy density of our current lithium ion batteries. So there is definitely research being made in storage. Um, I've also heard some good ideas about they're using like caves underground to store compressed air. So they take the excess electricity, compress the air down in the cave, and then when the electricity is needed, they let the air out to spin turbines.
Oh, that's pretty amazing.
So, what makes the caves capable of containing the air?
Well, it's just like a natural pressure chamber, right, surrounded by stone, so they can just pump as much air in there as they want.
So I take it that they found any openings and sealed them off in order to create the pressure.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, so it's not just, oh, there's a cave, let's just store our juice in it, so to speak.
No, they got to seal it all up and then put the outlet valve to a turbine.
So when you set up a windmill and you're running that windmill, is all the power that runs that windmill coming off of the wind, or how does it work?
Yeah, that's all 100% free energy from the wind. There's no power going into those. I'm not going to use a battery bank in specific, well, at least for this project, because if you connect directly to the grid, the law requires that the electric company buys the electricity from you. So that would guarantee a monthly income to the project, which is going to be used to buy liquid steam and power up and build the project and cycle through like that.
So I've seen those windmills. I've been down to visit Artemis and seen them out in the fields. And those things are pretty big. And there must be a lot of wear and tear on them. How often do some of those elements within the windmill need to be replaced?
I am not gonna. Yeah, I've seen those over in Ontario. They are beautiful, just up there swinging. Oh, gorgeous. But no, I'm not going into anything nearly that size. I'm thinking more like 150 to 200 foot windmills, maybe
Actually,
8 kilowatt hours.
I don't think you want to get into anything that size because in order to get those windmills going, it takes fossil fuels. There's a generator in each windmill, and they actually have to start it with power generated by the fossil.
Yeah, not to mention all the shipping. Those guys come down the I-94 corridor with those giant blades. But yeah, no, I want to go more for smaller windmills and numbers. Um, Here where I live is the fifth best place in the country for wind generation. You know, Chicago's the windy city, right? We're
Yeah.
right in that corridor. So I if I tried to put up one of those huge windmills, you can be guaranteed that the yokels around here are going to be, no, that's an eyesore. You're killing birds or causing cancer or whatever it is they're going to come up with.
Well, there actually is a lot of concerns about it, and Baltic has mentioned it too. Is that there is a kind of a constant drone off of them that a lot of people are well, some people are finding that they're sensitive to, and it not only disturbs their sleep, it disturbs a lot of other things in their life.
Well, luckily enough, I'm pretty much out in the country, which means I can get cheaper land and more of it as well. But I should be far enough away from anybody that I'm not going to bother them. And like I say, they won't be huge ones,
Yeah.
so
So
they won't get.
you're saying 100 feet?
Yeah, 150, 200 feet. The ones that I've seen around here that some of the other, like the local community college has one up. It's a 8 kilowatt hour, so nothing huge, but we can do it with numbers. You see what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
I put up 20 of them, then they don't have to be huge.
So which begs the other question: if you're putting up a 100-foot windmill, how many
Yeah.
of those could you put up in an acre?
Oh goodness, in an acre, you're gonna make me do some math, huh?
You
They
seem to
have to
have the
have
masters for it.
they have to have a 150-foot additional clearance as well. So you got to think 300-foot diameter around each one. So on an acre, maybe 5 to 10, something like that. Because you have to be careful if they do fall over, they may travel. So you don't want them to smack into each other or anything.
Yeah, one would take the bunch of them down, sort of thing. So you'd say 20 of them in an acre, or yeah, you said 10 in an acre?
Yeah, probably. But I'm also going to put in solar panels as well in between.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when the sun ain't shining, the winds are blowing, vice versa, usually.
True. So does the wind have to come from a specific direction, or will it, wind's blowing, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They'll just turn into the wind.
So they're on like a bit of a swivel?
Right. Yeah. They've got like that little tail on the back that'll make them turn face into the wind.
Yeah, because really, the windmills today are just an advanced version of something that's been used for centuries in Holland.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, they've been used a long time.
Yeah, it's not really new technology. It's maybe being utilized differently, but it's certainly worked for them for centuries.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the wind's blowing. Why not? And here it's every day almost. We're like, well, it wouldn't be cold if it weren't for the damn wind. And I'm like, oh, that's money we're not making.
So on the shorter windmills, as opposed to the big ones that are here in the Lake Erie area or anywhere along here, um, what's the noise level between the smaller one and the bigger one? Is it drastically different?
I mean, I've been right the one that's at the community college. I've been right up next to it, and I didn't hear anything.
You don't even pick up a bit of a drone?
I didn't. No, not at all. I mean, maybe like a little blades turning, but not like a buzz or.
Yeah, of course, some people apparently are more sensitive to it than others.
Oh, that's true. And I mean, like I say, they're not those huge ones. I don't really know. I haven't been up next to one of those. Those might make a lot of noise. I don't.
So Baltic says it's like bombs hitting the ground. Apparently, Baltic is one of the people that's sensitive to it. Although, Baltic? Are you talking the huge windmills like we're talking about here in Ontario, or are you talking about say 100-foot ones? Yeah, huge industrial ones. He's not
Yeah,
talking
those where they
about
got
that
the whoa,
size.
whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah,
Yeah,
really nasty.
yeah, he's not talking that size of windmill. So those
Yeah.
those industrial ones would be how high?
Oh goodness, I don't know. 750 foot, probably to 1,000 foot. Those things are huge.
Yeah, so you're talking 1/7 the height, roughly.
Yeah, just it's more about numbers.
So, do you have the land for it?
No, not yet. I have some spots picked out, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
realtor, but it's all up to funding, right? It's so speaking of funding and budgeting, the first 10,000 tokens that I sell are budgeted to directly power up the Solaritas account because I figured those are the people that are taking the most risk, right? There's nothing built. They're just kind of putting faith in me. So I figure if I can give them a significant upvote for as long as possible, even before anything's built, um, that is sort of incentive to get in early. And then after the first 10,000, the proper fundraising begins and the prices start to rise. They won't be available for one Steam anymore.
So, are you doing 100% through the tokens, or are you doing some like a Kickstarter or something like that as well?
100% through the tokens. I thought about cloning and going through like Raven or some of these others, but I really want to be Steam.
Mm-hmm. Because even Steam Monsters is doing Kickstarter.
True, but then there's all kinds of legal stuff, and I don't know.
Because
Because it's all in Steam, that you're not buying a share in any company or ownership or any profit guarantee, so I can get out of being a security. And since I'm only giving Steam upvotes, they can't call that profit sharing.
you sure?
Well, I'm not sure. Sure. I mean, I guess if the government wants to come after you, they can. But I think I'm safe. Because,
Well,
like I
I
say, you're not buying a share in the company. You're not getting profit from anyone else's labor. You're just getting an upvote. Or hopefully it'll transition to a manual curation bot. I'm working on the programming of that right now, so that people can call it instead of just being an auto vote. I know that New Steam is not too happy with auto votes.
Well, too bad if they're not too happy with auto votes. The fact of the matter is, a lot of those so-called new Steam vigilantes are using auto votes to upvote people. So, too bad.
And using auto votes to downvote people. How horrible is that?
Exactly. So, you've got your token up and running. You've had it running for how long?
Since I guess it was just a week or so after SE started. I'm like, I got to jump on this and get it going before anybody else has the idea.
And how are you finding? Well, obviously you're having a little bit of trouble getting it out there and getting it learned about.
Well, not too badly. I mean, that's why I've been coming on PYPT and coming on the radio and trying to make some connections, get some word of mouth stuff. I'm trying to keep the costs down.
So
Um,
one of the things I happened to notice when I was scanning down through your account today, and I think I've mentioned this something similar to you before. Um, have you thought about doing maybe some informational posts, just short little ones about the value of the various types of alternative energies? Doesn't have to be technical, just kind of easy read type stuff.
yeah, that might actually be a good idea. Earn some more author rewards as well.
Yeah, would earn author rewards, give people a better idea. Like what I was reading when I took a look through the white paper, Artemis can chime in as to what her impressions were. But my mind was completely on the type of windmills that was running out in Western Ontario. Actually, they're out in this area as well. I'm in Eastern Ontario. And, I'm thinking those great big ones. And, we come on here and talk, and I'm finding out that you're talking something 1/7 the height sort of thing. And I don't think people are really understanding that when they read through your white paper.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, "How are you going to protect against hostile takeovers and stuff?" I'm like, "Dude, this is not Wall Street. It's solar panels." And so I think people think that I'm trying to build like a $50 million power company or something. So yeah, you might be right. That might be a good idea to sort of clarify some of those things that I didn't think of.
Yeah. To you, it's obvious. Baltic has made the comment that if you do some posts like that, use the stem tag.
I did use STEM tags and they downvoted me, so I'm not associating with STEM again.
Well, if you're doing it on the uh, power, the energy, like if you're promoting the project itself, that's probably the reason they downvoted you. But if you do a post on say, you know, what wind power is and what those smaller ones will do as opposed, you know, sort of thing, then you're good to go. But don't promote your project with it.
Yeah, I
There's your
see what you're saying.
difference. Yeah. It's choosing the topic and which tags to use. There's I use Creative Coin a lot on some of my posts, but there's certain posts that I will not put Creative Coin on. Like for example, when I put out PYPT post, an announcement post, I don't put Creative Coin on it.
Yeah, you got to respect the tags.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of Dan, tell us about Upduder.
Oh, yay. Yeah, let's talk about Uptutor.
Told you we'd get to that. Well done, Artemis.
Fair enough. Yeah, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I'm the reaction. I'm just not quite equal yet. But
So,
it's an account that I created in response to the downvote vigilantes, people, particularly SBI. The other day, Upvote Builders got shut down. He just quit, and I've tried to convince him to come back and not allow himself to be bullied. But his argument was, the uppity ups in Steam know that this is going on, and they're doing nothing about it. So that means consent. And so he doesn't want to fight the system as it stands. And I'm like, well, okay, fine. that's your choice. But when I saw that these projects and communities that were formed, groups of people, and people investing in SBI, and how much they do for retention, when they're being attacked by people, being downvoted not because of their content or anything else, just because of their association. So this is not fair. And it was really upsetting and hurting a lot of people, especially small accounts. Like, I've seen these downvotes, the post makes like 3 or 4 cents, and he's nailing them for 0.005. That really hurts a small account like that. So I created Upduder. There's no making steam. That's not the point of it. It's not to grow the account or anything like that. All my curation rewards will be 100% given back to the delegators. It's their curation, so I give it back to them. And I'm just going to cancel as many of those downvotes as I possibly can.
So this guy has got something like 150K of steam that he's downvoting with, and then he's also utilizing some of the tokens as well to downvote with, correct?
Yeah, he has token accounts additionally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen three of them now. Pell, uh,
Photo and sports.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you need actually delegations on all of those, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I mean, it is whatever the community decides to make it. I've
Right.
gotten some delegations of Neoxian. Um, as long as it's a need, I'll just keep doing it, and whatever it is, it is. As much as I can give back to those people, I don't know if they really notice it or not. Yes.
Part of the problem with the attack on SBI from some corners is they really don't know what the program is. Like they really
Well,
don't understand it.
yeah, no, and people, especially Joseph Savage, he's reached out to this guy and tried to explain it, and instead of attacking him, and like a lot of people are, hey, asshole, quit downvoting me. He's actually reached out and tried to explain that most of the people that have SBI didn't buy it. They got it. Somebody else sponsored them for it.
Well, you can't buy it, can you? You have to
Sure.
sponsor somebody.
Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, that's what I mean. That they didn't do it themselves. That they were sponsored by someone else. So it's not even their fault, if they want to call it a fault, right?
Exactly.
But he doesn't care. He sees it as vote farming, and so I thought, okay, I'm not going to start a flag war. I'm not going to start downvoting the people that he's upvoting or downvoting him or any of that. Turning authors' posts into a battlefield isn't fair to them.
No, it's
But I
not.
thought, well, okay, then I'll just upvote for exactly as much as he downvotes. Out.
So, how many have you been able to counter?
Oh, in the last 3 days, I don't know, between 50 and 100 probably.
You've been busy.
Oh yeah. Eco Instant, he was like, you've already got it automated. No, just me going through manually.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to figure out some sort of automation. You'll never be able to keep up.
Well, yeah, if it gets big enough, then yeah, I'll definitely write a bot for it so that I don't have to.
Maybe have a chat with Counter Borden. He might be able to help you how to work that out.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, because
I'm programming Solarabot, so I'm sort of in the midst of doing it anyway.
you're basically looking to trigger on when that guy downvotes, you want to trigger an upvote.
Exactly, and to exactly counter the STU value.
Yeah. Yeah, because I noticed he wasn't able he didn't downvote a whole lot. He's getting himself so spread out because there are so many people that are on SBI that he's not able to do major damage to any one person at this point.
Well, someone called him on that. They said, I see that you could waste me, but you didn't. And his response was, I don't want to punish anyone.
Well, then why is he downvoting them?
Then what is your purpose, dude?
I guess he figures if he can be enough of an irritant that some people will decide that they don't want to be part of SBI.
And that's the problem, is that like upvote builders shutting down because of it. And so
So
hooray, he gets to be a bully and wins.
I'm not familiar with Upvote Builders. What was that project?
That was Ketcom. It was mainly people who do ActiveFit, but not completely. And it was by delegation only. Just a community of people that pooled SP and got a once daily upvote.
Well, pretty well any of the communities on the platform do something similar. Is he going to
Yeah,
try
of
going
course.
after all of them?
Well, and that's the problem, is if one gives up, then he's able to move on to the next one.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I see him coming after groups like the Alliance and eventually Solaritas, right? Because that's what that is.
Yep.
So it's almost a selfish reasoning for me to to create Upduder, because I see it in the cards. I mean, he's already downvoting my votes, but when he starts going after people that Solaritas is upvoting, then we're gonna have a real problem. So
See, it was one of the concerns I had about the downvoting. At first, I was neutral on the concept. Yeah, 2.5 votes a day, and you can do without losing your voting power. And it kind of was like, okay, well, there's been some people that have gone after some bad actors on here, and if they can do that without losing some voting power, then why not? And then I heard people, and fairly influential people on this platform, um, pumping up the whole idea of downvoting. And if you're not downvoting, you don't care about the platform. And I
yeah,
went, oh no, this is going to bring the idiots out, and it's going to have a real negative result. And we're starting to see it.
for real, I agree.
You know,
I
you,
mean, for things like plagiarism or spam or violation of community standards, yeah, that's downvotes are good for that. But for battling out these ideological battles, or no,
like,
especially when the people that are in the crossfire are innocent, they don't have anything to do with it.
yeah. And there lies the problem. And invariably, these guys, it's like they can't measure their dicks well enough, and they go after other people in order to get at the first person. We're seeing that happening right now at the conflict between Bernie and Dracos. It's hitting other people.
Yeah,
You know, Axeman is one individual that anytime he posts, he's getting downvoted, and it's all because of the conflict between the other two. He's an innocent in it, and I don't think he's alone. Just a
yeah,
bit of a pain in the neck. So, if somebody wants to support updating, then they can delegate to the account.
absolutely. We're definitely open to delegations. The more power I've got, downvotes I can negate.
So, what level are you at now?
3,200.
And how long has it been running?
Today's the third day.
Well done.
Yeah, there seems to be support out there, and funnily, is that a word?
Oddly
Um,
enough,
Oddly enough, funny enough, SBI created SBI Updude. Yay!
SBI created one as well.
Yeah, an SBI Updude.
So SBI has got a update to try to counter.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
and
it
I
make
asked them whether that meant that I shouldn't do it anymore, but they're like, no, the more people we have negating these downvotes, the better.
wouldn't it be a little bit more subtle if they just supported what you're doing?
Well, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't know why SBI didn't think of it to begin with, but
Of course, on the other hand, if they're countering downvotes, it's not like he can come back and do another downvote.
he can, but he's going to wear himself out. which would be great.
Yeah. Well, it's the only way to do it is to spread it out and thin out his ability far enough. It's like that Camille Steamer. She does he it.
It's
Um,
it's Camille. Yeah.
is it an actual she or is it just a name?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Hmm, can't fix stupid. But it's that is not capable of actually hurting anybody. It's just a nuisance of seeing those votes appear or down votes, I should say.
Yeah, I'm up to about 18 of those a day now.
How did you attract so many?
Because she's abusing the account faucet. She's getting SP delegation from Steam It Inc. and using that to do all these spam downvotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So uh, she always upvotes Archange to get 0.001 and then powers up Camille Steamer. And she was doing these ridiculous, nonsensical introduce me posts and self voting to increase the power. And so KDog created a tool to identify any of the new accounts that she was making. And I went through and erased all of the awards so that she couldn't continue powering up anymore. So
Ah,
that brought her ire.
and is it you that's going after getting those delegations removed?
Yeah, we were, but Marky Mark, the the procedure for doing that is so ridiculously cumbersome. You have to submit a pull request on GitHub and all kinds of stuff, and he's only going to do it when he has a list of 500 accounts. So he's only going to remove the delegations. So we haven't been bothering to do it anymore.
Well, I can understand, why he's doing it that way, or he'd spend the whole day uh, doing removing them.
Oh yeah, if you tried to stay on top of it, yeah, like
Yeah,
there's
he'd
like
he'd
10 or
never get
15
anything
a
else done.
day. No, yeah.
It's very similar to what you're going to run into with doing this manually. You're going to reach a point where you'll have time for nothing else but countering downvotes.
Oh goodness, no, I'll automate it long before I get to that. It's fun right now. I like walking behind him and negating everything he's doing. It feels good.
I'll have to take a look and see if you managed to negate my the downvotes on my comment.
I don't think so. Remember, I am limited by my power, so
Yeah.
I get it down to about just below 80%, and then try to let it recharge again.
Ah, yeah, that would do it too. It was the post that I put it on also got downvoted as well from him.
So you got double?
He downvoted the post because it's also was upvoted by SBI, and then I made a comment on the post, and he downvoted that as well. Because
Unreal.
after I noticed the downvotes on the comment, I went back and took a look at the post because I know that person's got SBI because he's won some of it in PYPT, and sure enough, there were the downvotes on his post.
One funny thing, a lot of people are sponsoring him for SBI now. So he's got 72 shares on his own.
Is he going to downvote himself?
That's the question. Will he downvote himself?
There is a certain amount of justice in that.
Oh, it was hilarious yesterday. Coffee asked him, like, why are you downvoting me? Is it because of my SBI? And he was like, yeah, it's because you have SBI, and then upvoted that comment for $1.38. And I'm like, dude, are you just kissing ass because it's a witness, or what is your deal there?
Well, he's obviously not very bright to start with.
I mean, upvoting $1.38 on a comment, asking why you're being downvoted—that's crazy.
So, is he in a Discord where people can talk to him, or is he, you got to talk through comments?
Yeah, I think you got to talk through comments. I'm not sure exactly how Joseph Savage reached out to him. He might have had a DM with him.
Yeah. It's always something. So Artemis, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask to find?
No, I think you answered everything I was thinking.
So, at the rate you've been going on the Solaritus project, do you have a timeline as to when do you think that's going to reach its 10,000 or
Well, we just crossed Minnow. We're at 500. We're a little ways away.
right? There's more than 500 Solar or SOL, yeah, Solaritus coins out, isn't there?
Not held, no.
No?
Oh, but issued, sure. 100,000 are
Yeah,
issued.
there's 100,000 issued. How many are being held?
300 and change, 320 or something like
Ah, so I'm wondering what you can do to push that along.
that. Well, I've been considering a lot going for the Steam proposal system. I think it's worth a shot.
Right?
Um, Again, that I want to keep it, like I said, within Steam, so I don't really Kickstarter those. But um, I I think last time we talked about it, you said maybe I should wait until I pick up a little more Steam before I try to Steam STEAM before I try to do that. And I think that's wise. I mean, I'd rather get the ball rolling a bit more, get the bot programmed and functioning, and I think that'll help as well. Doing their little exclamation soul on somebody else's post. That's kind of like word of mouth advertising, right?
Yes, because people do ask about it. I know I've seen comments made when people like Dan and Contraburden and Engine and that are doing the exclamation mark shade, and people
Yeah,
go, "What's shade?"
yeah.
Same thing with the comments that are, I found this post on Pimp Your Post Thursday, and they're like, "What's PYPT?" That's
Not
com-
yet.
yeah,
It's in the works. I'm programming it right now.
yeah. Contraborden set that up for me. Holder had originally set it up, and then he kind of disappeared. So Contra got it going again for us. And each time there's a distribution, he gets a little bit of promotion at the on his witness, which is okay by me. He did the work for me, and so it's not a problem there. So you were kind of worried about whether you were going to make the hour or not, weren't you?
I kind of was, but it's flown, eh?
Told you we're kind of laid back about these things. Yes, he
Yeah.
did. He set up the shade market for us.
Although I did not talk about Solaritas the whole time.
No, and that's part of this program is it's not just strictly about the project, it's about the person behind it. Person or persons. We like to get to know who it is, what
Yeah.
what makes them tick, so to speak. So I notice that Artemis is just AFK for a moment. So normally I give her an opportunity to make some comments at the end. So did you have anything else that we didn't talk about, but you'd kind of like to get out there?
Uh,
Thank you.
Solaritas provides a monthly demand for Steam. Um, it's always going to be growing. I'm never going to power it down. Um, I've budgeted everything so that no power down, except for when I got to buy the land and the actual stuff. I mean, of course, I got to power down to buy
Yeah.
the stuff. After that, once the project is built, no, sir. Yeah, plus, I'm never going to take, if there is anybody else ever, I'm the only person on the team at the moment, but even if there is somebody else ever, no salaries. This is not what this is about. It's about building the project. It's not about me having some passive income, right? So I'm never going to take a salary. I'm never going to power down and use it for my own benefit. Right?
Um, See, here's something that you might want to keep in mind. Never say never, okay? Because somewhere along the line, you need to make a dollar. You're going to be running a business.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be getting the upvotes as well. I hold
Yes.
10,000 tokens. So,
Yeah, so you will get something off of it, and don't be hesitant about letting that be known. That's just a reality. If any of these other people are running projects without making something off them, they're doing something wrong.
well, yeah, but at the same time, I'll have the land, I'll have a company.
There's
So,
nothing
I
wrong
mean,
with committing to saying I'm not taking profits in the building stage. Nothing wrong with that. But once you're building and have it built and underway, it should be fully expected that you're taking some sort of profit.
well, we'll see. We'll see. I want to stay altruistic, at least at this point.
Okay, then. So I'm going to take my opportunity at this point to thank you for being here. The hour went by a whole lot easier than you were expecting, but then I was
Absolutely.
expecting that it would. It usually does. So I'll give you my thanks. And Artemis,
Well, it's been awesome to meet you to find the dollar, and thank you so much for all your efforts that you're putting into this blockchain. More value in the blockchain. It means we're going to have more investors, and it means keeping it fair for the little guy. So everybody go forth and steamiate.
there we go. Kitty Girl was looking forward to that.
Steamy Aid. There you go. That's a new one.
Not if you're a listener of the Curation Corner, it isn't. Artemis always closes with that. That's what was being
Awesome.
waited for.
Nice. Well, thank you guys